Okay, so yeah, I know. Anyway, I know what I look like. It's 11:52 on May 3rd. Okay. Things don't make sense. I'm seeing on Twitter about how now scientists think we're not going to reach herd immunity. I thought herd immunity came with not... I feel like this is going to echo. I feel like I hear that already. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe the thing's too close. Well, this is over here. It's got to be that, the space heater. Anyways, if there's still an echo, I'm sorry. I got to figure out why. So, herd immunity, I thought, would have happened if we had never shut down. Meaning everybody was constantly being exposed to the virus and building up immunities, and the people who got sick, and maybe some people got mildly sick, some people got very sick, and that's how herd immunity happens, okay? That's what I thought. They did other things, and from my opinion, keeping everybody home, sheltered, away from the virus, was going to make people not build up immunities to it. And if the virus got stronger or mutated, it would be more of a problem if we weren't exposed to it, you know, anybody. People who could handle it and people who couldn't. You know, so for me, if I was running things, I would have said, and I said this somewhere a long time ago, that I would have sent the healthy people, the people in their 20s who are healthy, I would have sent them out there to take one for the team and go continue society and keep things running, while people who were, you know, not in good shape or didn't feel like they were strong enough did stay home. But those people out there fought the virus and kept the economy going and everything else. But that's not what happened. So that's one bit of crazy. And another thing that I think is currently going wrong, that they swear they've got everything right and then they got to admit they're wrong. All right? Because they look like they thought that, I mean, I feel like last week, maybe they were, maybe they weren't. They were thinking that we were going to get herd immunity because people were getting vaccinated. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's what I thought I heard, or that's what I thought they were saying. So I'm not contradicting anything. That's just what I thought they were saying last week. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Okay, so that's that bit of crazy. Here's some other crazy. Now, we've all had problems with bills and stuff. Last week, I have kept... Even though we didn't have money and stuff like that, I always thought we needed to keep the landline, you know, because I always felt like if there's a crisis, if there's an emergency and cell phones don't work and you need to call the police, you need to call an ambulance, you need a landline. So that's one of the things maybe I'm old-fashioned in that way, but I always felt like you needed to do that. Okay, throughout this whole thing of not having money, I've done whatever I could to pay the bills that were the most necessary. Again, I'm at a bad point, but I've been shuffling bills. I've been figuring out what has to come first, you know. So with the Verizon bill, it looked like I was going to have to let it go, but I said no. I didn't feel right about it. On top of everything else, this is the phone number I've had since I was a little kid. This is my first phone number. This is the phone number I've had my whole life. I would prefer to live in a world where we didn't even have cell phones. We just had phones. We had a computer in the house and the internet. And, you know, pay phones at the store, you know, the way it was maybe around the turn of the century, right? But that's not how it is. So you have to have a cell phone now. And I've been trying to hang on to this now. So about a couple months ago, they said they were going to cut it off and I was going to let it go, but I'm like, I can't. So I decided I was going to make payment arrangements with them. Okay. So this is during March, right? And it was supposed to be that I pay like $20 every 2 weeks or whatever to catch up on the part that was due, so they wouldn't cut it off. And they and I was told by the girl on the phone that at that point I would be all caught up, and I think I was. Okay, so that was at the end of March, right? So in my mind, I'm all caught up at the end of March. Okay. So then the bill comes, fine, whatever. But I'm like, well, I can't pay it right now. So last week, at the end of last week, I get a bill. And it seems like it's for way too much money. But I'm like, okay, I'll call them next week. I know it's a little bit overdue. All right? This morning, first thing in the morning, the mail comes. I get a disconnection notice that if I don't pay the overdue part, which is like $40 and something, then cut it off tomorrow. And I'm like, wait a minute. In the whole history of me paying bills, I never saw anything like this. So it's not a matter of my paying my bills and stuff like that. Something has changed dramatically right now. Because that other time I got the bill, and they were like, well, they're going to cut it off. It was like you got the bill, and it was like a week or 10 days later that they were going to cut it, the disconnection notice or whatever you want to call it. That came, and it was like a week and something that you had to pay it. Now, mind you, I just got this other bill last week, and it didn't seem to be a crisis. Okay, so I called them up, and I'm talking to the lady. I'm like, I don't understand this. As I'm talking to her, it's making less sense to me. You know, she's trying to explain, oh, well, in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, we bill like this and all this shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not comparing it to some other state. I'm comparing it to how everything's always been. Now, here's the thing. Okay, so the bill I got at the end of last week, right? It said that I had $40 that is delinquent since April 12th, right? April 12th is basically 2 weeks ago, about. Say 3 if you want to round up. Okay? So, I get that. But that bill telling me that I only got it Thursday or Friday. This past Thursday or Friday. Okay? Like I said, so it seemed like too much for me. I knew I had to call them. Right? But I got it, like I said, in my mind, I got a Friday. I feel like I got a Friday. It could have been Thursday. But, okay. So, I had a lot of crap on my mind. My nerves are shot. I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay? So, I'm basically brain dead. I've said that many times on here. So, at this point, whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen because my brain is not working. I cannot think of anything anymore. Okay? The more I try to think, the worse it got. And I couldn't come up with anything. Okay? So, I get this bill. I called her, and I'm explaining to her, and I'm telling her, and I'm saying to her, something changed. And maybe it's because people weren't paying their bills, but I'm like, they didn't give you, like, a day to pay before. They gave you, like, until, like, a few days, at least 5 days, a week, or whatever, to figure something out before they're like, we're going to disconnect it. And she's like, oh, well, they probably sent that bill a while ago if you just got it. So I'm like, I don't know if the date's on here. I'm reading to her over the phone. I look at the date. The date on the bill, meaning the date they printed that bill, is 4/30. 4/30 is Friday. They put it in an envelope and sent it to me. It got here today, Monday morning, telling me if I don't pay by tomorrow, Tuesday, they're going to cut it off. Now, mind you, this other bill that said that it was delinquent, well, it's right here. It says it's been delinquent since 4/12. And then I have another balance that's more to that, that's due on May 10th. So that part's not overdue yet. And then I have new charges that aren't due until June. And I'm telling her, this doesn't make sense. This is confusing. I don't understand. Because that bill came on Friday or Thursday or Friday. I didn't have enough time to respond to that and call them. Or I did have time. I just didn't do it yet because in my mind it just came. And then they're sending me a disconnection notice that Friday day last week. This is all 1 week. Understand me? The date on this bill, the date on the bill that says the date this bill was printed is April 26th. April 26th is last Monday. So they printed this bill, the one with all the charges on it, last Monday. Put it in the mail. It got to me, like I said, Thursday or Friday. I looked at it, I said, that don't make sense. That seems like it's way too much. I'm going to call them. Knowing that this $40 was overdue. Okay? By 2 weeks, it's overdue. 2 weeks. Then, because I told you I had made payment arrangements, I had paid last payment I made was like on the 30th or 29th or something like that of March. It was at the very end of March. And as to my mind, I was caught up. She's saying I wasn't. Oh, because of the 40. But I was, because it was, the 40 wasn't due yet. The 40 was due, look, on the 12th. So I was caught up on, you know what I mean? So I know I didn't pay anything last month, but then this bill comes and I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to call them. Before I have a chance to call them, they've now sent me a disconnection notice for tomorrow that they printed Friday. And I got today, this morning. I don't care if you think, you know, okay, you don't deserve to have a phone and stuff like that. Like I said, that's my phone I've had since I was a little kid. That's the first phone number I ever learned. That's been my phone number my whole life. When I was in New York, and this was my home address, this was my permanent address, that was my permanent phone number. It's always been my phone number. All the other places I lived, apartments or whatever, in the dorm, this was my phone number, this is my address. This is why it's so hard to let go of everything. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell just happened? What is the shift that they've just done where all of a sudden it's like, and I was trying to pay the bills the best that I could, and there was the money coming out of my mother's estate to pay everything else. That's why I didn't end up with anything. So everything was being current. The whole pandemic, everybody else was deferring stuff. I didn't have to do that, but I didn't have any money for myself. So now here I am trying to shuffle things, and it's like, I've never in my life seen a bill come, I mean, a phone bill or anything like that. Okay, well, here's your notice. We're cutting it off tomorrow. If you don't pay this overdue part, and I'm sorry, by everything both these pieces of paper say, it's overdue for 2 weeks. And they're giving me 1 day after this notice, which, like I said, they usually give you a week or something, so you figure out what to do. It's just like, no, you got today. What if that got lost in the mail? I mean, that was, they sent it Friday, they printed it Friday. That easily could have got here tomorrow late or Wednesday. And then it just would have been cut off without any, you know, notice, because that other bill came. The other bill didn't say anything like that. Let me make sure I'm saying this right now. And somehow they added $15 on. I guess my payment arrangements, by paying it in installments, little bit by little bit, every 2 weeks. Every time I got another $5 late fee. None of this is making sense. It's basically almost $40 a month for me to just have a local phone service. That's what I'm saying. We had it all these years for emergencies. And it was important to me because of my mom and stuff like that. And she was older. And for us to keep it, because if something went wrong, okay? If I die, I don't care if nobody comes. I don't care if they have to my neighbors have to smell my rotten corpse. I really don't care. I want to die. I want to be done with this shit. But it's the stupidity and it's the escalation, how things are suddenly. This bill, dated, notice date 4/30/2021. We need to receive payment of the total overdue amount by 5/4/21. Or agree on payment arrangements by that date. Otherwise, we'll suspend your service. This is what I'm saying. So from the day they sent it out, that's 5 days. You know? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's 4 days. It's 4 days. But if you include the day they send it, it's 5 days. I just never seen anything like that. And like I said, the bill doesn't say anything about, oh, we're going to cut it off. Because like I said, on the bill, it says that the amount they want, the $40.31, has been delinquent for 2 weeks. Since April 12th. Okay? So, I want to keep the phone. I don't have the money. I don't want to lose that phone number. I would love something magical to happen. I have to pay for the cell phone under 60. I don't have money for that either, you know, but I'll have to pay for that. If I can't have this as backup anymore. I'll have to pay for that instead of some other bill. I know people don't understand, and I don't care that people don't understand. I'm just saying, I knew that once they started to open up, once they decided it was time, not when it made sense or not when they were going to do anything or not should they have helped people. I knew when they decided they wanted to go back to normal, they were going to open everything up, and then everybody else was going to have to fucking deal with it, because this is, I told you, when you're on the bottom, they don't care anymore. You could just fall off a cliff. You don't matter, you know. I noticed that years ago when they started taking homeless people and out of like ERs and putting them on a bus or putting them in the middle of the street somewhere and saying whatever. I don't know if you ever heard that story. That story's going back a long time. When you're there and nobody cares about you and there's nobody to help you, the government, whatever side of the government you think it is, you think that the government's there to take care of people. No, the government's there to pay for babies. Like I said, if you don't understand how welfare works, welfare is for people who have babies. They pay to have babies. You get more money the more babies you have, because government wants babies. Government wants more people, like I said, to someday fight in their wars. Okay? That's why everybody would be a lot better off if there were less people around. Be a lot better off if everybody used birth control and, you know, only had the amount of babies they want. But in reality, government wants as many foot soldiers as they can get. Okay? So they care about you, that you exist, so that, you know, you will have people who are available to go and fight in their wars. If you're poor, it's more likely you will, you know, look for a defined career path like the armed services. So that's why they want poor people around. So if people think that being poor is a racket in this country, they think it's a fun thing to do. They think the people who are poor, people who are out of work, want to do it and it's a big fucking vacation. It really is not. It's not. You suffer and you struggle and you have a really hard time. And there is such a thing as a person who's smart enough to work and willing to work, who for whatever reason or for a combination of reasons cannot get hired for a job. Okay? The jobs that are available you can't do, or the jobs you apply for you don't get called on interviews for, or there's just something wrong with you that you don't know what that is. That's what happened to me many, many moons ago. And I just spent the rest of my life trying to survive. Just hanging in there, hoping something was going to change. That's what I've been doing all these years. That's what I'm doing now. And what's driving me crazy is that if this is happening to me, this is happening to everybody. And this is right at the end. They're trying to make up for all the times they let people pay late or something. I don't know. Maybe all the rules, because now everything's opening up. Like I said, everybody's going to be expected to have all their ducks in a row, although nothing really changed for people on the bottom. Nothing improved. Even the people who had jobs, their jobs didn't come back. But they're going to be like, oh, okay, get it together now. You have to understand, even people who were working, even people who want jobs, that doesn't mean because there's an opening, they are going to get hired. The fewer jobs that there are available, the more particular the hiring places are going to be. I don't care if that's Wendy's, McDonald's, Walmart, wherever. The fewer jobs there are, the more picky they can be, and they are all going to want that same person. So one person who's a perfect candidate is going to have 3 of those jobs. The person who isn't the perfect candidate but wants to work, they won't get any of those jobs. Because those places can hold out for that perfect person, because there's enough perfect people who work nights and weekends, who have a perfect car, who have all these things, who will do all 3 jobs, compared to the person who, I don't know, doesn't have a car, can't work nights, whatever. There are a million reasons why people end up on the bottom and stay stuck there. You can blame them if you want. You can say people should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The people who are on the bottom, who pull themselves up by their bootstraps, those people commit crimes. Those people sell drugs. They do other kind of illegal activities to have money. because there was nowhere else for them to go. There was nowhere for them to make a living, a decent wage, and live a life and take care of themselves the right way, the legal way. Okay? I don't know how that ended up in that rant, but this just shocked me so bad. It's like, I've been trying my best, and the fact that I got a bill on a Monday, disconnection notice, or whatever you want to call it, on a Monday telling me I got to pay by tomorrow, which is brand new. It's completely brand new, and I've never heard of it before, because my mom was the kind of person who always paid everything late. She didn't pay stuff until it came with a red line on it or whatever. So now that they're doing this, because what I ended up doing, the money I had left, the house tax was due today. I paid it last week. So to me, that's the most important bill. Okay? That I paid. Whatever else happens, happens. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of rude awakenings very soon. My nerves have been shot. I've been waking up for about a month, most days, nervous, scared, shaky, because I don't know what's coming next. I was hoping something good would happen, but otherwise, I couldn't think up anything on my own. And that, I guess, is my fault. But when you get, this isn't hoodwink, this is just, we're changing the game. Because this is not, I'm not talking about how things were done during COVID. I'm talking about how things were always done. And this, all of a sudden, oh, here's your notice, pay tomorrow. That's different than how this company, which we've had the phone with this company since that's been the company, so 20 years maybe. I looked it up. It's run by a Swedish guy. Yeah, so that's how it hasn't been like this all this time. It's been different. They gave you time. Like I said, back in March, I got one of these. I called them. They had like I don't know, like I said, it seemed like a week to figure it out. And when I was going to let it go, but then I had time to decide. I don't have time to decide. I don't have time to figure something. So they're changing the game on the people on the bottom because they're ready to open back up. And according to the news media, everything's hunky-dory now. But Twitter just said we're not going to get herd immunity. So is it hunky-dory? Are we going back to normal? Who's jumping the gun? I don't think I'm wrong about all the stuff I've said before. We'll see.